Senator Kamala Harris was once San Francisco's top prosecutor, but a scandal nearly derailed her career, and it may come back now during her presidential campaign. Joining us to talk about how Harris handled chaos inside a crime lab almost 10 years ago, we welcome Michael Kranish, national political investigative reporter for The Washington Post. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Now, in this case, Kamala Harris, as DA, dismissed about 1,000 drug-related cases. Many people say she didn't act quickly enough.
Well, this happened in 2010 when she was running for Attorney General of California, and there was an incident where a crime lab technician, a criminalist run by the police department, there were some questions about her work. An official in Harris's office wrote an email in which she said this person was undependable. Used all caps to say that. That email, Harris told me, never got to her. The bottom line is that and several other incidents led to questions about the drug evidence. Later, it was revealed that she was alleged to have taken home, the lab technician, taken home cocaine from the lab. So there were questions about the evidence, and Harris said she didn't learn all this until several months later. A judge in that case ruled that Harris had, quote, failed, quote unquote, to inform defendants of possibly tainted evidence. So in the end, she dismissed about 1,000 drug-related cases. And this was a big crisis. You would know, from being there in San Francisco, right, that this was a big headline story day after day. So my assignment was really to go to San Francisco, talk with people there about the case, and here in D.C. talk to Senator Harris.
And the public defender at the time, up until his death just recently, was Jeff Adachi. You spoke with Adachi just recently, very shortly before his sudden passing.
I did. We had an hour-long talk. I knew he was a major figure in the story because, of course, Kamala Harris was the district attorney. Jeff Adachi at that time was the public defender, so they were naturally at odds with each other. Adachi, during that year, was pretty critical of Harris, so I thought it was important to talk to him. And during that interview on February 13th, he continued to have some questions, said that she had been, quote, slow to respond to what happened. So we had that interview, and then 9 days later, I learned that tragically he had died. And I had his words. We did a tape-recorded interview. So I thought it was important to make sure that I reflected his views, fairly in the story. And I told Senator Harris, who I talked to after all of this for the story, what had happened. She was, of course, aware that Adachi had passed away. She had actually known Adachi for many, many years. Right. He had been her tutor when they both went to law school in San Francisco. So they had a 3-decade-long relationship. So I also wrote a separate story about that relationship for the Post, which is also online today at WashingtonPost.com.
Now, Michael, people here in the Bay Area remember this case like it was yesterday. Now that it's on the national stage, does it threaten at all Kamala Harris's claim or position that she's a progressive prosecutor?
Well, it's a great question. It's really one of the reasons I did the story. There are some people who think, how can you be a prosecutor and be progressive if you're putting so many people in jail? She ran for DA and promised to be tough on crime, but also be judicious in how that was done and who would be charged and so forth. Today, there are certainly some people within the Democratic Party who have concerns about the way the criminal justice system has evolved. Harris does say that she is progressive, that she's concerned about criminal justice reform. When I talked to Adachi, the public defender, he had questions about that. He said it's one thing to put something on a website. He wanted to talk to her and actually did talk to her the day after my interview with Harris. And Harris told me that she had asked him to be an advisor on the campaign on these issues. Tragically, he's not around to fulfill that request. But it's something that a lot of people in the Democratic Party in particular will be looking for during the primaries.
All right, Michael Kranish, national political investigative reporter for The Washington Post. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.